Yo, 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 welcome to another edition of the Geeky Bros Podcast. That was impeccable timing because our boy Darcy just rolled in. Let me add him to the equation so he can do his intro, get his mic on. His mic's probably not on yet. So, Umar, we go. No, his mic is good. So, we good. It's your boy Tactix.
Yo, what is good? This is just Darcy rolling in at the last possible second. Thank you, Tactix, for holding down that intro long enough for me to get my microphone on.
I got you, bro. I got you.
I'm going to pass it over to Umar.
And this is Big Geek. Umar, how are you all doing today?
We good, man. We good. We real good.
Yeah, we're doing it different today. Look at this. I'm out here with a collared shirt.
Fresh. He didn't even have time to change, bro. He just took off his shoes and jumped right in.
Yo, I literally just jumped out of my car, ran downstairs, went to the bathroom real quick, ran over here, and I was like hitting all the keys, looking like I'm hacking the internet out here, just trying to get it.
You're like those scenes from movies where people are just like randomly doing this and like all the.
Yo, since you said that, have you ever seen the clip from CSI where they had two people on the same keyboard, like because they were like someone was hack? It was like so stupid. CSI Las Vegas. If for those listening, go on YouTube, watch it. It's hilarious. Literally, someone's like hacking the police headquarters, right? And they're like, "Oh no, we have to hack against them to like protect it." It's so stupid. And they had two people on the same keyboard. Imagine two people trying to type on the same keyboard. Just think about that for a second. That's our intro.
And like writing code on top of that.
Just, yeah, like, no, it's not music. You can't do that. Anyways, I digress.
Yo, I triggered you right there, didn't I?
Yo, that stuff gets me, man. Watching people code in movies, it just drives me up the wall because it's so inaccurate.
I remember there was like a review that came out a couple of months ago where they're like, you know how people say you should make hacking movies and then they watch hacking movies and then all the hackers hate it? That's because hacking is just typing on your laptop for like an hour or two. How are you going to make that dramatic? And it's like, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, you could take Death Note as a style for that. So somebody who codes, I'm like, you would have to do that, but you'd have to show it at the precipice of the moment that you were like, I've finished the script. Let me push this up to GitHub. Anyways, it's just like it has to be like overly dramatic at the last minute of an hour of doing nothing.
All right. Well, we might as well, transition into our actual topics because this has nothing to do with what our agenda is for today. But yeah. So firstly, just so everyone who returning people will know this, but for anyone new who's watching online, we are if you're not watching live, please click on the description and see the topics that we're going to have. We're going to put timestamps down so you can go directly to the topic that you want to listen to. If not, you want to hear us from beginning to end, pay attention because here we go. So our first topic of this week is that we're going to focus on geeky news. And I mean, this announcement kind of took the internet by storm. I know people who aren't even geeks who heard about this too. So Ryan Reynolds decided to make an announcement on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, basically anywhere online. And it was just saying, hey, Deadpool 3 is coming out. We got we've been thinking hard and long, but we figured out what we're going to do. And then Hugh Jackman walks by behind him. For those of you who don't know, Hugh Jackman has played Wolverine for like 20 years. And he's like, hey Hugh, do you want to come back for one last movie? And he was like, yep, sure. So Hugh Jackman is going to be in Deadpool 3 and is going to play Wolverine for potentially one last time. Whether it's going to be a cameo, whether it's going to be like an actual like big role, we have no clue. All we know is Hugh Jackman is going to put the claws back on, and he's going to let Ryan Reynolds do anything to him.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask my bros because I didn't ask them. What do you guys think about this news? And T, let's start with you, man. What do you
think? Excuse me. Honestly, this is the most exciting thing I've heard out of the MCU in a very long time. Obviously, Wakanda Forever aside, and I am kind of excited for Ant-Man, but I loved the original Deadpool. Deadpool 2 was fun. Not as good as the first one, but they had a lot of hype built around the first one. So I mean, it definitely delivered and exceeded expectations. With Deadpool 3, this just makes the most logical sense. I mean, if you want to especially if I mean, I don't know if they're going to continue to do more Deadpool movies or just have Deadpool show up in the MCU and other films. But if this, let's say they just ended on a trilogy, this would be a perfect way to end, just to bring Hugh Jackman in for one, because we all want to see it. We all want him to come back as Wolverine. These two have great chemistry, obviously, off screen. They're clearly really good friends, just kind of like they're very reminiscent of like Kevin Hart and
The Rock
and The Rock's dynamic. And to see these guys kind of, I mean, they'd worked together as their respective characters before in a very terrible movie, but to see it done right, I feel like this is what the fans truly deserve. To see them at their most authentic fashion, and I love it. I'm glad that they didn't reveal this at D23, and I'm glad that they did it the way they have been doing it in terms of these marketing videos that I'm sure Ryan Reynolds still has a big hand in, which is super, super dope because he is a genius when it comes to this kind of stuff. I mean, you got to love his humor. If you understand his humor, then, you're going to love anything that he puts out. So this is fantastic news. I'm hyped for it. I love Deadpool. I love how meta it can be. And the fact that they can go balls to the walls and just, well, actually, okay. Because this is the first Deadpool that we're getting in not only the MCU, but as a Disney property. So that's my only concern, I would say, is I hope that they don't water it down, kind of like how they're probably going to do with fucking Daredevil. But
oh man, you just hate me.
Yeah,
right now.
I fucking hate it, man. I hate it because if is Daredevil coming out before this?
So
we know?
Deadpool 3 is coming out September 6th, 2024.
And then when's Daredevil?
I think Daredevil comes out before that.
Okay, so I guess that'll basically answer it for me in terms of what they like. If they water down Daredevil and it ends up being like nerfed and neutered, then Deadpool 3 might be in the same boat. And so that is kind of a concern for me. But other than that, it'd be great to see these guys together again on screen. I hope that it's not a cameo, and I hope we get a decent action scene with like multiple action scenes with both of these characters. But yeah, I love this idea. I love this concept. I'm excited for it. Bring it on.
Darth?
Oh, so many thoughts. Number one, I don't think this is going to be a cameo. I think he's going to be a significant part of the film. From everything from just that logo alone to the fact that like Ryan's been literally asking you for years,
begging,
which I don't know how much of that is begging and how much of that has just been smart marketing. Like they planned to do it, but they just weren't like sure if they could do it. So later, like we'll just do it this way. Also, before I get into this too deep, Tactix was saying about how Ryan has a hand with the marketing. Oh, he didn't just have a hand. He created a company out of Deadpool for his marketing team. And that marketing team has been part of all of the businesses that he's in. So like Ryan owns a aviation gin. He owns Mint Mobile. So he owns a cell phone company. He owns a liquor company. He just bought a football team in United Kingdom. And he like bought something else. And his marketing company is part of all of this stuff. And so yeah, like after the first Deadpool, when him and the marketing team, they got so into it, they literally like decided to start their own company so they could keep marketing and do the other things. So like,
that's amazing.
Like it is just the dopest thing. Like it's like we had so much fun. Why did I do this as a living together?
Is it a Canadian company?
It's a good question. Probably not. I mean, he doesn't live in Canada. He's Canadian, but like,
I know.
like, like, if his wife says I want to live, you say okay, where? like, like, let's be honest here. So, I don't think it's going to be a cameo. I think that this is going to be a bigger role. I was seeing some theories and people talking about the idea, like what this could be like Q's like proper send off. Like, we had the last one that's clearly a proper send off, but another kind of thing, like where like what if at the end of this, what if at the very end of the film he like so Deadpool gets pulled into our like MCU through this film, and Wolverine doesn't get pulled in, and there's another Wolverine that shows up. Like, someone was putting out the theory, like, what if the new Wolverine shows up? And of course Deadpool's like, what the F? Like, just like, who is this? Right? Like, and like that's kind of how, like, what's that? Yeah, like
you're not sure.
Yeah, like, and it'd be like like close the film, like go to black, like right on, like just the like slapstick hilarious, like what the F. I just don't see this being small. Like, I just think it's a waste. I think like for him to show up in a cameo, like why even announce this if it was a cameo? Like, why not just like surprise everybody and have them be delighted? If you go to market this and it's a cameo, like I really just hope that it's like they're clearly gonna fight each other, because Deadpool's gonna piss him off immediately. Like, and I kind of hope it's like they fight each other. Deadpool's like gets hacked into multiple pieces, has to get put back together, and then they go off and fight something together. Right? Like, it's just mayhem. I don't think they'll water this down. I think that would be like, I feel Tactix frustration when it comes to Daredevil, and I have the same like worry. More he's talked about, the more I worry about it. But with this, it's like, you water this down, it's just like, you might as well not make the movie. Like, period. Like, it's just, there's no way to say like we can vary this and change this. This character is completely edgy. Everything about the way the character is and everything that happens in these films is exactly what this character is about. This would be like, how to put this? We talk about like, when race swapping or gender swapping affects a character. That would be tone swapping. Like, not being rated R is fundamentally swapping out the character for just make a different movie with a different actor, with a different, like, everything, because there's no point. So yeah, I'm like, who can't be pumped for this right now? This is super exciting. I look forward to seeing what they do with this 100%.
Yeah. No, I'm with you guys. I started squeeing, clapping my hands.
This is how I want to go into the movie.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I'm excited for this. I can't wait to see this. I also agree with you, Darcy. I doubt this will be watered down. I would be very surprised if it's watered down. But even if it is, and they go back to like X-Men 2, X-Men 3 level, like
I can't accept what you're saying right now. You're pissing me off.
I'm just saying that, like, I'm just saying that, like, we've seen Wolverine for the most part not have rated R level action, or I should say Hugh Jackman. Like, Hugh Jackman has only done one film rated R. The rest have been like PG-13. I still don't see
a Wolverine film.
No, I know. I still can't see it possible that they're going to do a Deadpool film that's a PG-13, because, like you say, Darcy, it's like inherently against the character. So, yeah, I don't think there's a problem there. Nonetheless, I'm excited to watch it in any iteration. So I'm a lot more forgiving than you guys are when it comes to like the ratings, or I should say, really Tactix. I feel, I'm going to throw out a theory here, like a psychoanalysis. I think Thor: Love and Thunder, like, just like destroyed your faith in MCU.
Yeah, I mean, the shows didn't really help at all either.
Exactly.
So, I mean, so far what we've been getting, okay. So I'll say this: the MCU doesn't owe me anything anymore. They've delivered more than enough, right? But for them to keep going, there's a little bit of expectation there on my end where I'm kind of like, okay, like you didn't need to do this. I appreciate it, but like don't just give me ass like for the rest of the stint, right? Like I like if you're gonna attempt to keep going after that high, then at least stay relatively on that same level. But like, I'm sorry, man, but Love and Thunder was BS, man. I like that shit was fucking trash. Like, I am sorry. I thought it was crazy. I'm like, I thought maybe I was the only one because everyone I've been asking, they're like, oh yeah, I had a good time with that. I'm like, what? You're insane. But yeah, I get that movies are subjective, so to each his own. But nah, that wasn't it. That wasn't it. I'm sure Chris Hemsworth knows that wasn't it. He just, man, at this point, he's just there for the paycheck.
All right. Well, moving on to our next
let's
topic,
move on, man.
which
Let's
is
just move
also
on.
related to the MCU. And I'm not going to lie, I think this is going to further Tactix's misgivings towards the MCU. So, what just happened right now?
No, I know what the next topic is.
Oh, okay. So, it was announced this week as well. There's been a lot of geeky news this week. There's so much so that we can't even cover it all. But like Marsha Ali's Blade movie has run into a couple snags. One, they lost their director.
Mm.
Two, they have been pushed back again.
Mm.
Three, they are rewriting the script from scratch.
I would think that number 2 is because of 1 and 3. the way you put it again, they got pushed back. I'm like, I think they got pushed back because they had a crap script and had no director. I think that's the reason. It's like, imagine it was the other way around. You got pushed back and then these things happen.
Yeah, and Marsha Ali has been vocal about his frustrations about the production, not just because of the fact that it's been delayed, not just because they lost the director, but also he found that the series was found that the movie was lackluster. I think his exact words were lackluster. And he was saying that like there was like hardly any fight sequences, and like he's just annoyed with the process.
Hardly any fight sequences. What the fuck is this?
Yeah, like, no, there weren't like a lot of them. Like there was like I think like 2 or 2 or 3.
Yeah, okay, if the actor is asking for more fight scenes, you have fucked up. Because that is the person who's gonna have to he's like presumably he's gonna do some form of the level of stunt work, right? So he's literally saying, I showed up to work and you didn't give me nothing to
do. So Darcy, continue on. Please tell us more your thoughts on this.
I mean, that I didn't know that specific detail. That just like bugs me. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, so first off, you said I have a phrase. I don't know why I want to say it in like a Barack Obama type thing, but like, or like a politician type thing. But it's like, we want blockbuster, not lackluster. I don't know why that was going through my head, but like, for instance, one thing I kind of expect going into this film with Mahershala Ali involved in this is that we're going to get the badassery that we got in the old films, but that we're going to get some layer of emotional element that he will bring to the role that we didn't get from the first one. We'll get something that's like grounded, is the way I want to put it. Something that we can all relate to, the human aspect, especially since the character is half human.
I need to interrupt you because literally on this topic, breaking news, Sam Raimi is set to direct Blade.
Oh, that's interesting.
Damn.
You had that ready. Oh my god, Tactix here with the sound clip ready to go. This man is not playing today. Oh wow.
So yeah, Sam Raimi set to direct Marvel Studios' Blade. The film is set to begin filming in November, but likely to be delayed.
Okay, so now on this topic, now that we've adjusted it, I'm glad to hear it, and I'm not excited. So
Agreed.
Sam Raimi has not impressed me of recent. So, is Sam Raimi a good choice for a horror Marvel film? Probably.
Eh,
But is he going to deliver? Probably not.
I'm hoping someone has more control over him because I wasn't a big like we all have reviewed Multiverse of Madness. There were some significant now. I will say that the writer for this movie, I think it's like Bo DeMeo. He is currently writing the X-Men animated series that's about
Is
to
this
come out.
the the new one that they
The new one,
replaced?
yeah.
Yeah.
He also wrote Moon Knight, so that may not make Tactics very happy. Considering the fact, I think that's first Marvel property you just like stop watching.
Yeah, I did not finish it.
Yeah. I mean, I will say the writing in the first few episodes is really strong of that show.
Yeah,
Mm.
I'm
But
really hoping that Bo and Sam they kind of cover each other's inequities. If they cover each other's if they boost each other's problems, oh, this movie's gonna fucking suck.
yeah, because like Sam and like on the other note we talked before, Taika Waititi are two directors who clearly need to be held back, right? They need reins put around them and
Yes,
limitations.
they're not the
Otherwise,
Russo brothers.
they just film everything, but not necessarily move plots forward. So that's just see for me. I want Blade to be like the dark MCU, right? Like I want to be like I don't want to say not as much as this, but I want it to start to introduce almost Matt Reeves, the Batman, not that tone because that's a Batman tone, that's a very specific noir detective vibe, but I wanted to start bringing the MCU so we have this darker element and we can bring certain characters and can be dark. And when I hear Sam Raimi, I feel like it's gonna get like comically dark,
Yeah.
like or not comically, but like
No, you're right with comically dark because like look at the first three Spider-Mans. Even the darkest moment, like when the only time I would say that in the first three Spider-Mans that I found myself to be like, holy shit, this is dark, is when like Doc Ock woke up from surgery.
yeah. Now we got a good comment from Courtney here. Tactics, why don't we throw that one up there and talk about that? Because that to me, that's exciting. Umar, what are your thoughts on that?
Holy shit, yes. Oh shit, yes. Oh shit, yes, Courtney. So Courtney's comment was, "Yo, imagine a Guillermo del Toro directed Blade." That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Like Shape of Water, for instance, right? Like I'm just going through because I'm trying to make sure I remember some of his films correctly. Like Shape
Yes,
of Water.
He did do Blade too.
Yeah, Pan's Labyrinth. That to me, I feel like if we could get somewhere in there, but yet like fight scenes and all that, like I feel like it could be great. Oh man, I'm worried about this.
Darcy and I have been talking for a bit. Like, what are your thoughts on like literally everything about the Blade stuff?
So, yeah, man.
This is a bad start.
Like,
you have everything prepared today. Oh man, that was a great visual too.
but yeah, like you said, this is a bad start. I was not expecting this to be derailed so quickly. When it comes to especially Marvel Studios, they usually have it in the bag. I mean,
So this has resulted in a few people asking us a very similar question as you, Tactics, and what the official word is, Kevin Feige is spread really thin right now.
Is that the official word or rumors? I think that was a rumor from somebody.
I would say like this was like something like this was a quote to a newspaper. Like I don't think that they've gone into depth beyond this, but like I think like the official word is just like Kevin Feige is spread really thin, given the fact there are multiple projects being released at once, and it's TV and film, and and animated. So so going back to UT.
so he's pretty much just fucking up now. Like, I
He can't be everywhere at once.
yeah, but at the same time, it's like I thought Marvel was predicated on their ability to properly plan their
Or retcon.
projects, right? You know what I mean? And so now it's like, do they feel like they have an obligation to rush everything? Because that is the mistake that DC made. And now it's like Marvel is following in DC's past footsteps and making those mistakes just for the sake of what exactly? I mean, at the end of the day, it's proven, we as fans, yes, there's kind of like a given, there's a back and forth in the sense of like we're greedy, but at the same time we understand that like we would rather have quality versus quantity. Because if you're just gonna put out bullshit like Morbius and all that other shit, you know what I mean? Like Thor Love and Thunder, then I had to throw that in there. I'm sorry.
I was waiting for
Um,
Like,
it.
well, they
but
didn't make Morbius, by the way. Just like, don't put that on Feige now.
oh yes, yes, fair, fair. Sorry, it's all Marvel, so I'm confused. But like the thing is, like
Yo, good
we
call, Darcy. I don't want to say
I
something.
mean, like, I feel you on Thor: Love and Thunder. I rewatched the ending that I missed the guy fell
yeah,
asleep the
yeah,
first time,
yeah.
and I've liked it less. But I would not put Morbius or Venom on them.
No, yeah, yeah, no, fair. But like obviously we want quality over quantity, right? And so I would rather them take their time and get things done right. Like look at the Batman, for example. That was supposed to come out much earlier than it was originally released, but because I guess they wanted to iron things out and get it right, yeah, were we bummed out about it and we were like, oh fuck, I wanted to see it earlier. But look what happened as a result of us waiting a couple months and then getting a really solid film. So again, with this, if they have to take the time to kind of get it right, then so be it. But if the rumors are true and Kevin Feige is biting off more than he can chew, then he needs to step back and just chill. Maybe put some stuff on the shelf for the time being that don't follow the timeline or the phase that they're trying to set up or whatever like that. If some things can be on the chopping block, then so be it. But other than that, I mean, I'll be
Well,
honest, I wasn't super excited about Blade. Like not until I see the first one. I'm just
okay.
being straight up. I mean, I loved the original Blade with Wesley Snipes, but until I see what he can do, and don't get me wrong, he's a great actor, but until I can see what he can do and what he can bring to the role, and I agree with Darcy, I feel like there's potential for him to bring like a more dramatic tone to the role as opposed to just him being this stoic action hero that is just great at martial arts and kicks a bunch of vampire ass. That was great when I was younger, but we're a lot older now and we want a little bit more depth in our characters, and I think that he can provide that. But can he also do the action stuff as well? I mean, that's still to be determined, but as a story on its own, I don't know. I don't know where they're taking this. I don't know what they plan on doing in terms of like the villain arc
Oh,
and all that.
they
So
have such a like fuck. They could do Dracula for all they care, and like like it won't be a problem. But I I won't lie, I do kind of agree with you, T. Like, we've seen their phase 5 and 6, and like I sent you guys a picture of like how many movies we're going to be watching in 2024, and in 2024 we have like what like 5 or 6 movies to watch. That's a lot. So I I will agree that if they decide to like expand these, give it a little bit more breathing room, the way you're talking about, T. Like first of all, let's not overstress Kevin Feige. Like we can't, like, it has already been proven that no one can find another Kevin Feige for like DC, and DC has all its properties. So like let's not like overstress them. Second of all, if he needs a second hand person, like or like a second in command to help like cover stuff, uh I, there's only like a very few people I trust, but like let the Russo brothers come in as like second in commands, like as like co-executive producers sort of thing. Nonetheless, I will say that this is not a great start. However, if this, like, I take your point about the Batman. If Blade gets delayed but is done right, I'm down for that. And that goes with literally every other project. I don't want them to rush. Now, I will say that Thor: Love and Thunder, like Phase 4 has been an experimental phase. It's like we have done the formula for 3 phases. We got a lot of success, but we also were getting a lot of critical flack. Like people were like, we're getting sick and tired of the same thing over and over again. So then they decided to be a little bit more experimental. I have mostly enjoyed the experimental aspect of it, but at the same time, it is aimless. We now are starting to get direction of a sort. Phase 4 has, I would say, out of the 4 phases, has been the weakest for me, but it does have some good highs, but it also has some lows. If we're able to fix things up for 5 and 6, and like not be just like keep throwing things, like already Armor Wars has turned from a television series to a movie. I take that as a positive, hopefully, in that they decided to do a more concise story as opposed to like just extend a single story in 6 episodes. Nonetheless, I get what you're feeling, Tactix. I'm not as far down the rabbit hole as you are. Like Thor: Love and Thunder did some damage on on your side. With me, I enjoyed it, but like I'm used to being heartbroken the way that movie heartbroke you. So like, let's just say that like, I just have a more crushed, put together heart.
The thing is, I wasn't even expecting much, and I was still let down. That's what hurts. Like the difference is like when you go to watch the movies,
life, man.
Yeah, but when you go to watch your movies, you're expecting it, like you're hoping that it be good. Just sit here and entertain me, please. And I can't say that happened with Thor: Love and
I will
Thunder.
say that my level of like what I want to be entertained by a superhero process is probably different from yours. But what you said is literally how I've done a lot of movies, and you guys have all called me haters. So I'm just saying, T, welcome to the club, bro.
I'll take that title. I'm gladly hating on that movie. Movie fucking sucks. I'm sorry, it does.
We got a theme in this.
They did Christian Bale dirty in that movie, man.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, so we have some comments. Okay. So first thing, Courtney says is Morbius gave us dancing Matt Smith for memes, so it was a net positive for humanity. I'm not gonna lie, I've used that GIF quite a few times. So Courtney, I hear you on that one. And Courtney then says, "I'm tired of directors falling too much into the same style every film, and it being too textbook with what you get from them. A Taika movie is going to look like a Taika movie, so will a Rami."
Sorry, yeah, I got sidetracked. That actually is what I wanted to bring up. Good point, Courtney. So I didn't have the same disdain for Doctor Strange 2 as you guys did. I went in enjoying it, and it was only later that you guys were pointing out like all the things about like the woman issues and everything, and I was like, okay, I never really thought of it like that. But that aside, I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed the style. I liked the horror aspect of it, but I do agree that with what you said, Umar, you said it was more Sam Raimi's style is a lot more of a comedy horror type of thing. Or sorry, Darcy. I know he's done some like actual serious horror films that weren't comical. I haven't had the opportunity to see any of them, so I can't really assess it based off of those merits. But in terms of what we got from Doctor Strange, not that it came off comical, but there's something about it that I can't really explain, but it does have this kind of gimmicky, it was very reminiscent of the Evil Dead type of vibe, right? And so I think for him, it was him trying to find that the serious tone of his horror movies and that comical style of his horror comedies and kind of finding a happy medium. With Blade, I feel like he would attempt to do the same thing. And for this franchise, I don't know if I want that particular style. I don't know who directed the first original Blade or even Blade 2, but I liked that grittiness, that dark tone aspect of Blade, and I would love for them to kind of revisit that or give us something in that same vein, even like what Darcy was saying in terms of like Batman, how the tone and the texture of that film was just suitable for that atmosphere. I feel like Blade is really going to be a great representation of that world if we highlight the grittiness of, like, basically let us feel what it would feel like if vampires actually lived among us. Like, it wouldn't be all happy go lucky. Like, it would be dark, it would be gruesome. People wouldn't just be walking down the street casually and smiling and shit. Like, there's vampires out here, yo. Like, we can't just be chilling at night and acting like nothing's happening or nothing's lurking out. You know what I mean? Like set that atmosphere and give us some of that. And I don't know if Sam Raimi is capable of capturing that essence. I think he just cares about showcasing his style regardless of the story and the atmosphere. And so while that fits in certain perspectives or certain situations, I don't know if I would want that same kind of style for this particular movie.
And
No.
to your point about Blade 2, that was Gamma del Toro. However you
Yeah.
say that.
Right. Yeah. Sorry. Someone mentioned that in the chat
Yeah.
already. Yeah.
So, I mean, if you want to come back, we all on board.
Yeah. I don't know if he'd revisit it again, though.
Probably not. But like, I agree with it. I would prefer him over Raimi.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm worried.
All right. Moving on to our next topic was also this past week was the release of The Last of Us trailer. Now, The Last of Us is it was originally a video game, very popular one. And they have on HBO Max, they ordered a season of it, and it's going to be starring Pedro Pascal as the main character Joel, and we have our beloved Bella Ramsey, who like won all of us down in Game of Thrones, who's going to be playing Ellie. I haven't played this game. I'm going to admit this. I'm not much of a gamer myself, but like I haven't played this game, but I know quite a few people who have. I've remembered hearing consistently from all those who've played this game that they love the story. And so it made sense to me that they decided to make a TV series out of this. I think it's like a post-apocalyptic like zombie game. So like obviously it's going to be like The Walking Dead, but look, Pedro Pascal. Nonetheless, I'm a huge fan of Pedro Pascal. I'm also a new fan, or like a current fan of Bella Ramsey. Like she killed it as Lady Mormont, and so I'm interested in watching this. I was already interested in watching this series based off like just like the fact that they had a good cast in this, and if they adapt the story from the game well, I should be entertained. But the trailer I actually saw, and I was like, this should actually, like, even if I didn't know about the series or sorry, the game, this actually looks really interesting to me. So I'm definitely going to check it out, and like I'm we'll obviously be covering it. But I wanted to know what you guys thought. So let me start with you. What did you think of the trailer, and also what did you think? Do you know anything about the game?
Sorry, did you say me or Darcy?
Tactics,
You cut
sorry.
out. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with the game. I haven't had a chance to play any of them actually. So, I don't really know much about the story other than it being a post-apocalyptic setting with zombies of some nature. So, I mean, that's cool. My only thing is, because I haven't played the game, I heard the game is fantastic. But because I personally haven't played the game myself, I can't honestly say that I'm like super excited for it, because for me it just comes off as another like Walking Dead or Resident Evil type of film. So, or is it a movie or a TV show?
It's a TV show. So like
TV
from
show.
what I
So
remember, like he is like they are living in a post-apocalyptic
yeah.
zombie world. He is looking after her because she is immune to the virus, and
Yeah.
they're trying to find a cure based off that.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like every other zombie show or movie you've seen. So for me, I don't really know what the new element of this franchise is going to bring to the table that sets itself apart from that of Walking Dead or Resident Evil. So for me, yeah, I'll I'll go in. I'll check it out. I'll keep an open mind. But the trailer didn't really do much for me, to be honest, because again, it comes off as every generic zombie movie you've ever seen.
Yeah.
But I like the cast. The cast seems great. Yeah, that's all I can really say. We didn't really get much from the zombies other than this guy.
That's some fucked up shit.
Yeah. But yeah, aside from that, I don't really know what to expect or what much else to say about it. But yeah, Darcy, did you play the game?
I haven't played the game, but I am familiar with it. I've watched like different people playing different cutscenes of it, and then recently they did a remastering for like the PC. Like, there's a lot of these games that'll get released on PlayStation like 4 years ago, and then they'll remaster them and they'll re-release them for like PC and PS5 and stuff like that. So I was watching a guy talking about playing it and going through like the first like 15 minutes. It's like, so Umar, what you're saying is right in terms of what I remember about the overall cast, and what I remember about the story, that when people were posting about it years ago being so impacted by it, was that there's a lot of character development and a lot of bonding that happens between characters that they kind of pick up along the way, and there's betrayal among certain characters, betraying like the group and having to like kill members of their own group, and like,
so like
loss.
Walking Dead.
Yeah, but it's not like Walking Dead in that it is a building of a large community. It is more of a small group of people trying to stay away from other humans, because humans aren't, like, there are a lot of messed up militias and stuff like that, and trying to constantly move and be hidden. And so the thing that's interesting about the zombies is, like, I think there's like 2 classes of zombies. Like, there might be 3, but I can't remember exactly. So there's like your kind of standard zombie, and then there's this one which is blind and uses echolocation, and it's like a creepier thing. So think of like an element of what was John Krasinski's film?
I was just thinking that Quiet Place.
Yeah, Quiet Place. So think of it like not the same where it's like any sound from 10 miles away, these motherfuckers gonna get you. No, like they like it's more like they're in the game. One of the mechanics is that like you would have to throw an object, across somewhere to attract them based off them using sound, and they would go after. And they make a very viscerally creepy clicking sound that when they're trying to find you. It's the kind of sounds that will make your like skin crawl, and like and not only visually, but it's like the whole mix of it is like grotesque. Then you have a lot of like your killing of humans, and there's a lot of the times in the game you'd have situations where you'd have like a regular zombie, a clicking zombie, and a militia walking around, and you have to make very calculated decisions about how to move through the space. So like trying to trick the human that you're trying to get away from to accidentally make a noise so the clicker will get them, right? Like stuff like that. And it's like gruesome. So that's a bit different than The Walking Dead in that they're not as like dumb and they move faster. But it's not like World War Z kind of like where it's just like chaos. But this also looks like they're telling an origin of how they got there in the show, which doesn't look like that was in the game. They probably had flashbacks, but like it's not how the game starts. So that's interesting. Overall, I'm like excited, but not like extremely excited. Like I'm not excited like, oh, I know this property. What I'm excited for is that this is a show and not a movie, and because this is a well-written story. But you can't take this story that's like, I don't know how long, but let's say 16 hours, and then just condense it down to 2, right? Like it's already a 16-hour movie. How are you going to condense that down to 2 hours, right? Well, what part of the 16 hours you're going to focus on? So doing it as a show lends itself to be, well thought out. And this whole game was built like a movie. Like it just is a movie you are playing. So it's perfectly suited for this. Everything is completely plausible and fundamentally, you can do. The game isn't built around mechanics. Like, how do you convert that into a movie, right? So yeah, I'm excited more for the idea that, hey, if this is successful, what other games can they also be inspired to make, stuff out of? Like we had Halo, and I enjoyed it. This looks like this could be award-winning level though. And also showing The Walking Dead what they should have done.
I might as well just say moving on. So yeah, the next topic before our big review of the Woman King is having to do a quick reaction slash review of the currently airing Star Wars Andor TV series. Now we've talked about this in our previous podcast because in anticipation, but now the first 4 episodes have dropped. The first 3 dropped last Wednesday. The 4th episode dropped this past Wednesday, and I've watched it. I know. So T is waiting to see if it's something worth watching. So obviously, we're gonna try to convince him to give it a try if needs be. But Darcy, I'm interested. Have you had a chance to watch any of the episodes of Andor?
2 of them. 2.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah. Umar's already he's already over here knowing it's not. Let me just get right into this. Okay. So, this is the absolute not right time for me to watch this show. Let me put it to you that way. Because I'm coming off the heels of let me tell you the 2 shows I'm most excited for and that I'm watching right now that I'm and so you understand the tones of what I'm going into. So I'm watching I'm watching One Piece, and the tone, where we're at right now, I'm loving it. I'm always loving One Piece. It's so upbeat, it's so fun, yet it's at moments it's and then you have She-Hulk, and I'm this is fun. I'm really enjoying this. It's not action heavy. This is just a fun thing, and I'm enjoying it for the merits of what it is. And then you bring Andor and this slow burn, dark, I'm bro, I'm watching some of the scenes in the background, what happened? I don't give a shit. So there are moments that are cool, and I am just not even interested in this show at all right now. It is fundamentally good, but I am telling you, it is the wrong time for me. And I'm begrudgingly, right now I have limited time in the last couple weeks. And you're Darcy, have you seen this? And I'm bro, all I want to do is watch my One Piece with the 2 hours of showtime I have today. And you out here just trying to soak it up with all this, just, it's just not the vibe for me right now. Is it good though? Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's just, I know it's gonna get really good, and I know that it's gonna give me a lot of things I really want from Star Wars. I just I feel I need a week or 2 just to get to somewhere else with One Piece before I'm okay, now I can watch this. But it's got cool things going on, and I have a new crush that came out of this show. I forget her name right now.
Bix.
But that Bix, but when the second Bix came on that screen, I was yo, just give me a show about her. I'm just teasing. But yeah, I'm kind of I'm waiting for it to grip me. I'm waiting for things to happen. That's all I'm saying. So I'm not helping you sell Tactix one bit right now.
No, the fuck you are not.
Yeah.
Tactix was at a level playing of excitement of 0, and I just took it lower.
So okay, I will say, okay, first of all, Maybot is going to town right now on what you're saying, Darcy. Let's read this.
you know, so to put in context, I think I'm 80 some episodes into One Piece right now, Maybot. Just for your context, I'm watching from the beginning. I'm super loving it. We just got to the reindeer who's clearly going to become the doctor for the ship. I just got his backstory. Ooh, so good, Maybot. You know what I'm talking about. Anyways, moving on.
Her next comment was, "Yeah, sorry, you can't watch Andor while you watch One Piece. 2 separate moods." I am in complete agreement with this, and I'm actually feeling really bad that I shoved Andor onto you right now, Darcy. I didn't realize that, because yeah, you're right. That's a massive tonal change. It's One Piece, which I have no concept of, and then what's a straw hat?
Oh man, you just don't know. Okay, that's Luffy for you. Okay, Straw Hat is he wears a straw hat, and everyone calls him, like, everyone always recognizes him by being the Straw Hat dude. So yeah, she just knows. She knows. But she's absolutely right. These are two different moods. Like, Umar, try watching like Ranking of Kings back to back with like Death Note. Like, it's just like,
I have done that.
At the same week.
I'm known to watch multiple different like comedies, thrillers, seriously dark stuff, and then also doing some intrigue. Like I'm used to watching multiple different moods.
I would not watch Death Note and Ranking Kings at the same time. It's like, here, let me watch like Dexter and Looney Tunes like back to back. Like,
well, I use it as a palate cleanser.
Yeah, okay, that's still though.
Anyway,
like,
so okay, I guess what we'll do is, okay, I can't even say I will wait until you finish One Piece. Like that's like what, like 3 months, 4 months, 6 months down the line.
Wait till you finish One Piece. Oh man, we're gonna have like Luke Skywalker grandbabies by that point. Good luck.
Oh yeah, okay.
I just need to hit a lull. That's all I'm saying. I need to hit a lull, and then I'll find my moment. I'll watch Andor. Don't get me wrong, I'll watch it. Just don't be expecting a weekly review is what I'm getting at right now.
Okay, fine. So Maybot's also saying I've had those moods. Sometimes I just want to watch something lighthearted, funny, and wholesome, and you literally cannot watch a serious show during those moments. You've got a whole lifetime to finish One Piece.
Yes.
There's currently 1,025 episodes to watch for One Piece. So like, yo, T, you want to give that a try?
I don't give a fuck.
How do you have these ready like this?
All right, so okay, I will give my review then for Andor. I fucking love it. I'm gonna bring up Maybot here because, like, while she may be completely supporting Darcy, at least I know that she, like, I'm glad you're enjoying this, Maybot and Courtney. But at least Maybot is like, she also likes Andor as well. I agree with her. It is a slow burn, and T, I know slow burns are not your thing. However, from me watching it, like, this show is written by the guy who did all the Bourne movies, so he knows how to do like subterfuge and like clandestine sort of thing, like operations. But this show feels unlike any other Star Wars property. It feels real. There's so much depth to it. There's so much richness in characters. Bix is killing it. Everyone is killing it. There's not, like, I can't believe I'm going to say this about a Star Wars property, but there's no bad actor in this area. There's like none across the board, and like there's no Jar Jar Binks character. There's no like ridiculous droid. We like the droids in this one. We like the characters in this one, and like the villain is actually, like, I'm not sure if he's going to remain the main villain, but he is a villain I can actually find to be interesting because he isn't a one-note villain. We've got Darth Vader, who has multiple layers to his characterization, but Palpatine was just an evil dude who's like unlimited power, and like was just like a Saturday morning cartoon villain just brought to like live action. And you could say that for literally like Grand Moff Tarkin and all the other ones. Here, the main villain is a very real person who you can kind of see why he's choosing the way he's doing, and actually feels that he's doing the right thing, which I actually like, having a complex character. And the show is filled of complex characters who are not overall good or who not overall bad. This is just, everyone is gray, but everyone is on a different side of what their relationship with the Empire is. And you're seeing what every single everyday person is like. And the slow burn is something like, especially for the first 3 episodes, it's a slow burn that literally just skyrockets in the 3rd episode, because like the 3rd episode basically brings it all together and creates a climax and an end to a story arc that started off very good. In terms of feel, this like series feels more like a Blade Runner mixed in with like
Star Wars.
No, like Star Wars. Like while watching the show, I had to remind myself that this was a Star Wars property. Like I would think that this is like Blade Runner mixed in with like Matrix or something like that. Like because like I don't know if Matrix is the right one.
Yeah, that wasn't it. But Umar, why didn't you message me and tell me that there's a big climax and uplift in the third episode? And I'm like, that might have motivated me. Is all I'm saying. Just like, why leave that detail out?
Because I didn't like I wanted you to be surprised the way I was because like I expected it to be like kind of like a coasting episode and then I'm like holy shit, and I'm just like loving the shit out of this and then like
Well-
I watched episode 4 like literally like 5 hours ago and it kept me going. Now I'm watching it with my boy Dan Bird and Dan Bird just goes to me like, why do you love it so much? And I said to him like, bro, because I'm finally getting what I've always wanted from Star Wars in this show. This isn't made for kids. This is for an adult who has watched Star Wars growing up. And now it's a grown-up show for a Star Wars fan. And that's what I've been wanting. I've wanted depth. I've wanted intricacies. I've wanted like this is showing the birth of the rebels. The rebels had to be clandestine. They couldn't just like be like, I'm going to fight you now. Grab some ships. Let's go fight a war. It's like, no. We had to start off small. And for like 15 years, we had to like get to the point that we could actually like have an organized resistance and find enough people from different areas to put them all together to create a fleet to like go up against the Empire. And even then, we weren't doing a great job. But here's the Jedi that came out of buttfuck nowhere. All right, let's go take on the Emperor and Darth Vader. So, like, this is giving me exactly what I want. I will say, we're only 4 episodes in. This thing could fall, and like in like 5 weeks' time, did you fall asleep?
Yo, you need to move it on, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Tactix out here just
I can't even see him in this chair anymore, man. All right, fine. We're gonna move on. I've done my. Y'all know I love it. We're not gonna cover this weekly, and I'm just gonna like cry myself to sleep and talk to Maybot because she's the only one watching this with me. Anyway, so moving on. So our final topic of the evening. It is reviewing in full spoiler, full detail, The Woman King. Yeah. Viola Davis, man. She is fucking glorious. All right, so we did a short review where we all explained how much we enjoyed it, and now we're going to, but that was spoiler free with no details. Now we're going to go into details. So, T, let's start with you, bro. Tell us your review of The Woman King, and like, would you say that after all like the last, I think, 2 weeks, is it staying? You gave it a 9.8. Is it still a 9.8, or has it changed since then? And also, what did you like most about the film?
I mean, yeah, I'm always a little reluctant to give a film a 10, but this, if not a 10, it's pretty damn close. I thought the movie was fantastic. I'm actually quite baffled by the comments of our quick out of the movie theater review. I was like, holy, like that. First of all, that's the most amount of comments we've ever received on a video in like the 2 years that we've been doing this.
Yeah.
I guess,
And the most amount of likes and dislikes and views.
yeah. So yeah, that's saying a lot. So I was surprised, a little shocked. A lot of people were cutting into us quite a bit, but I mean,
we also had some people supporting us as well.
Yeah, let them be salty. It's all good. It's all good. All movie is subjective, and I don't know the actual true story, if this is based on a true story. I didn't dig too deep into what the film was referencing and the tribe that it's referring to, but just as a whole, the movie is fantastic. I think everyone should go out and watch this, unless you're racist, then to each his own. But or sexist, yeah, for that matter,
Or both.
or both, yeah.
Those people can just go fucking watch a wall.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the movie is fantastic from beginning to end. I was thoroughly entertained. It didn't feel like a 2-hour movie. Normally by the by the midway point for a lot of movies, you kind of it's a hit or miss. Sometimes the movies can feel like they're dragging, or like certain scenes feel like you could do without. I even if I had to cut some scenes out of this, I don't know where I would even begin to start, because it just seemed to be so cohesive and it just flowed together so nicely. And the storyline is great. There's a little bit of a twist. I guess we can talk. We can. This is spoilers.
Yeah.
So we can talk about it.
It's been
So
2 weeks. Like people can
yeah, I liked that twist of the girl, the main girl. I'm bad with the names. But the main
Nawe?
the main like girl, like the daughter, basically.
Navi.
Yeah. How she was the daughter of the woman king, and how that all unfolded was brilliantly done. Normally when you do the whole, oh, it's my daughter or it's my father or whatever, like it can come off really, really corny. Like ever since like Star Wars, for example, with the whole Luke and Darth Vader thing, like that for its time was perfect, because like not many movies did that. But then Hollywood kind of like ran with that and be like, oh, I'm your father, I'm your, and it got kind of cheesy and shit, and I got kind of sick of that same trope showing up in movies. But the way that they did that with the whole reveal of like the cutting of the scar and taking out the tooth was brilliant. I was like, oh shit, that's kind of unexpected. Like it just kept going in different places that I was not anticipating. Like I thought it would go one way, and then it kind of did a misdirect in a really good way. It was very heartfelt. It was great to see strong Black women in this kind of role. And I don't know if it was Darcy or my girl who pointed this out about their physiques. Their physiques, like you bought into the physiques. It wasn't like with Wonder Woman where like everybody has the exact same body, or even in 300 where it was like everyone just had like was all like ripped, and it was just like they all had, it was like one person that was like photoshopped. Actually, that was the case with 300, because my old Krav Maga instructor was part of that movie. And what they did, they didn't actually use 300 people. What they did was they got, I think, maybe 50, and then for a lot of scenes they just kind of rotoscoped like a bunch of those guys in the background, and so it made it look like it was 300 people. So there's something kind of off-putting about that, whereas with this, like you had like different kinds of body types, and like yes, they're like muscle, but they don't look like they haven't had carbs in fucking days, you know what I mean? Like they're still like they're solid women with dense muscle, but it's not to be like, it's not giving like off like a bodybuilder's physique, because as Darcy knows, and anyone who's in the fitness industry, big muscle doesn't necessarily equate to strength. Like when you see these women, like they look physically imposing. And then there are some girls who like didn't have a whole lot of muscle, but you just based on their build and like how like they carry themselves and their tactics, you could tell that they could fuck you up in an instant, right? So it was good to see the different kinds of body types and how they utilize that and stuff. Like a lot of those more slender women, where like you could see their fight, the fight choreography for them was a lot more agile. Like they were a lot more
quicker,
acrobatic and quick, right? Whereas the ones that had a little bit more mass, they were just relying on brute strength and like dominating like their enemy and whatnot. And it was crazy to see, because I forgot that there was also male warriors in the mix, right? Like it got to the point, and like, I think Darcy made a joke about it where it was like, it got to the point where you would see them show up and you don't know if they're the enemy or if they're on the side of like the woman king. So you're like, what the fuck? So it kind of threw me off too, because I was like, yo, you're right. Like I don't know. They just show up and you're like, oh, there's still some guys left. Oh no, they're part of the crew.
Exactly.
So it's crazy.
You have to like look at their
dude over there, kill him.
Which one?
Yeah.
That's my brother. Oh shit. My bad.
Yeah. Yeah, there was so much to love. We actually out of the theater, we didn't talk about this during the review, but I think it was me and Darcy. We were like, we didn't like the fact that the daughter ended up sleeping with the girl, because that's what we thought initially. Because when the way they set up the shot, it's like it it starts with them kind of having like an intimate moment where he's like cleaning the blood off of her hands, and he gives her a change of clothes, and then it cuts to another scene off in like another part of the basically it's just another scene, and then they get back to that same scene, and she comes out of the room and she's wearing like she's got no clothes on, but she's wearing a blanket over her to cover herself up. And then we're like automatically our head goes to like, oh, like she gave up the cheeks, she slept with the guy, like it, like she went against her sisters and the whole code, like woman code and whatnot. And then she goes back into the room and the guy comes in, and like at that point we'd already like determined, yeah, she gave up the cheeks, right? So we didn't even take this in, but the guy comes in, he knocks on the door, she lets him in, he comes in and he's got his shirt off, so we're like, oh yeah, he definitely got some ass, right? Yeah. And then we get out of the movie theater and we're talking about it, and my girl points out, no, like why, if he slept with the girl, why would he knock on the door to come in? He would have already been in there. And I was like, oh yeah. So it kind of made more sense. So I liked the movie even more because of that, because she never gave up her code and everything, because she was smitten over the guy initially, right? Anyway, I can
take off the shirt. I was like, yo, like, dude.
Yeah, well, they're playing it up for the women that are showing up for this movie, right? Too, right? So but anyway,
the guy,
the guy
shows up and he's like, yo, look, I'm fit too. Let me show
you.
All these women out here looking good. I'm fit too. I mean, he was fit.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I mean, I could talk for days about this movie, but yeah, I thought it was a solid film. I don't understand where the hate is coming from. Like I was baffled by the fact that, because that same weekend I went and watched me and my girl went and watched The Invitation, which is like a horror, like a cheesy horror film or whatever. That got a 5.3 or something and on IMDb, and I checked this was like at a 5.8 or 9 or something, and I was dumbfounded because The Invitation is fucking ass. I would rather watch the Twilight series for 12 straight hours than ever watch that movie again. It was terrible. And I couldn't believe that the rating was so close. Like this, I'm usually for the rating when it comes to IMDb. Like usually whatever rating that I see on that site is usually accurate to what I would originally give the movie. But this was just like, okay, there's some racist, sexist shit going on here. But
yeah.
Anyway, that's my rating.
We'll get that. Darcy, how about you, bro?
I'm trying not to talk about the comment section on our video yet, because you know what I want to do with that comment section? I want to send these ladies in. That's all I'm saying. That picture show up. I'm like, I know how to solve this problem. Okay, so the movie is hands down amazing. The movie's hands.
I'm sorry, I forgot Courtney was here. Yeah. I love it. I love Twilight. I'm just playing.
But anyways, yeah, going back to the Woman King, the movie is phenomenal. It, like, touching on the historical piece for a second, like this movie is, watching it, they never state this is like a documentary or like a biopic,
they don't even say it's based off a true story either.
Yeah, they don't, but they bring light to stuff, and so you're watching it and you're asking questions about in your mind about like how much is real in this, how much is not. Clearly, like when people do like historical movies based on something, if it's going to be 100% based on something, then they don't focus on characters that aren't named, right? Like when what is it, what's her name, oh my gosh, I can't think of the actor / director who did Tomb Raider, Angelina Jolie. When Angelina Jolie did her film like on like was it the Cambodia trying to think of. It's like the one where there's war and there's a guy at like at a camp and he has to like use determination. It's like unless that is based off of a person that we know of, then you're telling a story in the context of a grander, like real situation. But the story you're telling is a fake story to impose emotions and highlight something, right? And this movie is far more about showing women their own power than it is about reenacting the Doheny people's accuracy. So from the perspective of like the power of this movie, everyone delivers in every way. First off, Boyega here, like it's such a good chance for this guy to come back and show the power of his character, both as a person, as an actor, and you know, this is such a good thing for him for coming from Star Wars, and you know, especially with him standing up in all the controversy that happened in Star Wars. They have him see do a role like this and just the power that he gets to show. Viola Davis, unbelievable. I mean, we already know that she's unbelievable, but you know, it's like imagine anybody else taking this role over her, right? Other people could do an amazing job with this role if you didn't know that she was up for it. Like,
I would say this is one hell like if no one knew about Viola Davis before this movie, this is a good example of why Viola Davis is badass.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like it's I'm gonna love Wakanda, but I am going to be comparing the what are the women in that?
The Dora Milaje.
Yeah, the Dora Milaje. Like I'm gonna be comparing them to these women. Like I'm just going to be because it's gonna be hard not to. I almost feel like the Dora Milaje was inspired by this. I don't know if it's a real thing, but it feels like it feels like they would have taken notes from this this group of women in historical, and then just like, you know, brought it into the MCU in their own way or into Marvel their own way. But yeah, every actor does an amazing job. And going back to a comment that Tactix had made about like something that both your girl and myself had made, which is about the women's physiques that I absolutely loved about this. These are women that have muscle for go, not for show. And you know, in real life, you know, when people have muscle for go, like look at real athletes, look at real Olympians. Hardly any of them look like what people think that they should look like. They have the physiques to do things that to sustain what they're doing. You know, like, and just being able to see these, you know, women shown for their power and being of all different shapes and sizes, ages, and just the gloriousness and the beautifulness of it. It's just like it's phenomenal. My only complaint, and Umar probably remember this right now, doesn't say this, but my only complaint I had watching this film was in the very first about 30 to 45 seconds. Because when I got in that theater, for some stupid reason, they had 3D glasses sitting outside of it, and I thought I needed to watch it with 3D glasses. I don't know why they would think that this film would be 3D. So my partner and I are sitting there for the first 30 seconds watching these women come up out of the grass in the dark, and I'm wearing glasses, tinting the whole thing, and I'm like, I can't see shit. So I almost feel like I need to rewatch the first scene. Just like, I mean, I need to rewatch the whole film, but I need to rewatch that first scene just to like say I've seen the whole film, because I feel like I missed 1% of this whole film. But yeah, this is both a thrill ride, an emotional ride, well written, very well layered, never forced. Like, you know, a amazing scene in a story does the job of both of three things. Like it can tell you world building, it can tell you about the characters, and it can also advance the plot. And I feel like the directors and writers in this never wasted a scene where they weren't doing 2 or 3 of those things all the damn time. And yeah, they didn't leave anything on the table with this film. They just did everything they could with it. So Yeah, I mean, Oscars all around need to come for this film. That's all I'm saying. Oscars all around need to come for this film.
Yeah. So like again, I want to join on the bandwagon by saying like I love this film. I've watched it twice now, and I loved it the second time around as much as the first time around. Honestly, like we'll get to the controversy in a moment, but like this film, I believe, is as impactful and as crowd pleasing, as aesthetically pleasing, as story wise pleasing, as relationship pleasing and feminist pleasing as a film can be. It provides uh, the period epic like Gladiator and Braveheart, but for Black women. Like just as those films did for like white guys, or I should say white British dudes, or like people doing British accents for or Scottish accents or anything like that. This is on that same level for me, but this is a far more character film than it was historical film, like a historical like reenactment sort of thing, because we're focusing on the Woman King, aka the title of the film. And so we're following her. We're following new recruits. We're following her fellow warriors. We're following her political situation. We're following her. We're following her, and we get to see the traumas of slavery, which wasn't shied about. We got to see the trauma of women in slavery, but also the trauma of women who were just rape victims as well. We're seeing how people survive those traumatic experiences, or how some get completely overtaken by those experiences. We're seeing that a strong, powerful woman can have like sensitivity, vulnerability, can go through emotional turmoil and overcome it. And like it, like Tactix was saying, there are multiple story arcs. It's actually both Tactix and Darcy have said this. There are multiple story arcs. It's not just focus on the Woman King and fuck everybody else. Everyone, everyone in this film was developed or had their own kind of like, even the villain to some degree had his own story arc in this. Like, yes, he was a very clear villain, but at the same time you can understand why he was, because they gave the reason why he was. It's like he failed, and so therefore he's like, yo, if I failed I get killed, so I need to like, I'm like all in on this, and this is what makes me money, and this is
Oh,
what makes me
I thought you were
powerful.
talking about the slave owner. I'm like, we don't even need a reason. He just
No,
showed up.
no, but like he was like, the main villain was a slaver, but also the slave owner. You get where he's like, this is my father's business. I need to keep it going, and like so. No matter what, everyone had realistic aspects that just like Malik said, like we grew up together, and this is just how things are. Of course, he dehumanizes Africans. That's what he's been raised to do. He doesn't see them; he sees them as commodities. Um, and so, excuse me, and it's like so on, like literally all across the board, um, Nawi's trainees and friends who survive and die, and then we have also like her trainers who survive and die. We have the Woman King and her a group of friends who survive and die. We have the political structure of the Dahomey, and we have the interactions they have with the Mahi, and also with like this. I think they were Portuguese. Uh, Nonetheless, like you have all these different aspects that are in no way poorly written, nor poorly acted, or simple. None of these situations are simple, and they even discuss the like. One could even argue that they dumb down the political complexities of the slave trade for like Africans, and also with the Europeans. But at the same time, it wasn't a simple story, nor were there simple like things that were happening within Dahomey or outside of Dahomey. So for people to be arguing against this film, I feel you're arguing for the sake of arguing, or for, like as Dax was saying, for sexist and racist reasons, or both. But like, watch the film and like take it in as a film, as a like objectively as a film. I can't see people viewing this as anything under than like a 7 or 8. Like, yes, all films are subjective. If you're not someone who likes like big war sequences or like historical films, this is not the movie for you. Like, don't watch this. If you like, if you are someone who wants to see a documentary that like does like a proper in-depth review from like from either a European perspective or from an African perspective, again, this movie is not for you because it's not trying to do that. So objectively, this is a really good film that have objectively very good like choreographed fight sequences and objectively very good acting and dialogue. So I will just say that I personally am a huge fan of this movie, and I am giving it a 10 because, like, fuck it, I'm jumping on. I'm just as to Darcy. I just watched the movie.
Finally.
Yeah.
Finally. I mean, what a good movie for you to start doing that with, for sure. But finally. And Umar, to your earlier comment, yeah, it was Portuguese slave traders, which stood out to me because my actual ancestry comes from Portuguese or people that were sold by the Portuguese. My family's lineage is undetermined what African country we come from because the Portuguese were doing illegal slave trades, and they threw out the records for like basically how my family's lineage came to Dominica. So yeah, I'm like now I'm like I was like just googling. I'm like, where did most of the slaves from Dominica come from? Any of them from Doheny? I'm like, please let me claim this. But the Portuguese slave traders.
So I feel now that we have danced on this topic quite a bit and we've brought it up already, but let's just dive right into the Woman King controversy. Now, as Tactix has said, we have got some comments for the first time in our 2 years of doing things. Not only did we get positive comments, and I thank you guys for that, but we also got we got a couple personal comments, negative personal comments, and I'm like, I mean, that's not really necessary, but it's the internet, so why not? But then we also got some people who were spouting very similar arguments as online for the reason to boycott this film. Now, the consistent non-racist, non-sexist reason for boycotting this has been that I've read from certain Black individuals who are asking for boycotting of this film is that they said that this felt like they were A, glorifying slavery, or B, this is supporting a film that depicts Africans who enslaved their ancestors.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Always on point with that shit.
Yeah, man. You're killing it tonight, by the way. I can respect the perspective of someone who has traced their lineage to someone who was for their family and ancestors were enslaved by the Dahomey and were sold into slavery. I can understand that. So, like, I mean, man, this is probably not the film for you. However, I take issue with the statement that, or with the argument that this film glorifies slavery. Also, there's been a third one where it says that this film is a revisionist history fiction, and so therefore it should not be watched. First of all, I haven't seen a single historical epic film that has in any way not been revisionist. So let's just this is not the first film to do this, nor is it the worst. If you've all watched Gladiator, Braveheart, 300, Inglourious Bastards, The Patriot, like literally off the top of my head, those are the first 5 that came into mind. I can guarantee you there are going to be multiple scholars from multiple parts of the world that are going to tell you those films are bullshit. Well, Inglourious Bastards was inherently bullshit. Like, that's not how Hitler died. But nonetheless, I find it going back to the statement of Black actors or Black artists or Black people in general are held to a significantly higher standard than any other race. When the first Black female empowerment film that focuses on Black women kicking ass is when this argument comes out, so much so that they have to write comments in our section, and God knows they're talking about it from other posts. Y'all, did you write comments about this regarding Gladiator, Braveheart, Patriot? Just ask yourself that. But that, again, That's just me. But glorified slavery? How?
Yeah, y'all. I'm trying not to say those words. Darcy, be good, Darcy. First off, before I say anything, because I'm just itching over here. Let's just bring up a couple other films that historical reenactments that I'm sure are absolutely perfectly done, and everybody would never disagree apart. The Big Short. I don't know, Troy, Braveheart, The Founder. I'm sure all of these films are perfect reenactments. The Northman, that's a new one.
Blood Diamond.
Yeah, Blood Diamond. No, don't go there. Don't go there. We're getting too close. We got. I got. You know what? The Last Samurai. I'm sure. So anyways, like every reenactment film has been revisionist. Otherwise, you watched it in public school and were sleeping because it was called a documentary. Okay, like if
Pocahontas.
Lord have mercy. Yeah, actually, so Umar, you shared a great article, and one of the things that they were citing is like, well, if you want historical accuracy in all your films, go back to Disney and rewatch all of those the way they were actually meant to be. Like Cinderella and the Ugly Sisters cutting their toes off to get their feet bleeding into the slipper. Or like, wasn't it something like with Sleeping Beauty, how like they raped her or something? Like, is that how you want to watch these films? Like, no, you don't want to show your kids of like 7 dwarves raping a woman. Like, you just know what you're desiring. So I'm sorry that they took a few liberties with this film and then never said it was an accurate or based on anything kind of film. Anyways, I'm just gonna stop for a second. Anyway, keep going.
T?
No,
Would
talk
you
your shit,
like
bro.
to-
Talk your shit, man.
Yo, these people are dumb. Okay, so first off, when it comes to looking at history, don't forget who writes the history books. The
Yes.
people who win the wars. So who won
Or
slavery?
oppressed.
Yeah. Who won slavery? Right? Not the slaves. So they didn't write the books. They weren't even allowed to learn how to read. Okay, let alone like write the books. So who wrote the books on slavery that you're referencing? Second of all, did y'all watch the film? Like, did you watch the film or just cite the fact that it's celebrating slavery? Literally, the film is talking about, hey, we're selling slaves. Hey, I don't think we should be selling slaves. It's not a good idea. Okay, but we need to find a logical way out of this.
Yes.
Like, that was literally the conversation. They didn't go into all the depths of like every aspect of it, but they definitely showed how they were seeing what was happening to the slaves, and they were only seeing what was happening to the slaves in Africa. They weren't even seeing what was happening to the slaves in like in the United States, which is the worst version of what happened, things that have done to slaves. The amounting of disgusting things that happened to slaves in the United States. So they were hearing about that over generations and saying like, hey, like we need to change this. But obviously, I'm just kidding. Someone else talk. Someone else talk.
What are your thoughts on the controversy?
Again, I'm baffled. I couldn't believe the comments. Like when you pointed it out in our WhatsApp group, I'm thinking, yeah, maybe we got like 2 or 3. That seems to be the going rate for us usually for those, right? So I'm thinking, they're vaguely positive, and I go in and we're just being reamed out like, oh yeah, like blah 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 and all this shit. So yeah, I was a little shocked by that. What really baffles my mind though is that we look at a movie like Django Unchained, right, with directed by a white man, highlighting slavery, male dominant cast, gets an 8.4 on IMDb, and we get the
N-word a lot too.
Uses the N-word a lot. Yeah,
I think more than anyone else.
Yes, 100%. Even Leo, Leonardo DiCaprio even said in an interview, or Jamie Foxx was actually talking about this, about Leo being uncomfortable with saying the word, because I mean he had to say it
A lot.
a lot, right? Um, and you know, Jamie had to talk him down and be like, or it was Samuel L. Jackson who was just like, "Yo, motherfucker, you're acting like this is what we do. Like, these aren't your friends. Like, get into the role." And then even I was watching an interview with Jamie Foxx, and he was talking about how Quentin Tarantino was like he was basically reading his lines or whatever, and Quentin basically went up to Jamie first day of filming. He's like, "What the fuck was that? Like, you're a slave. You're not supposed to be cool. You're not supposed to be hip. You're not supposed to talk like you know English well. You're a fucking slave." And he's like, he said it like he was like angry that Jamie Foxx was like, you know, just delivering his lines like he normally would if he was reading any other script, right? So it's just it's a weird contrast when you have a black director, a predominantly black female cast, and this film gets a what, a 5.8 or a 6 on IMDb, and
It's funny you should bring this up because like people have been focusing on the fact that a white woman wrote this film, and I'm just like,
So she woke.
so
like I'm over here like you said, wait, I didn't know that, and I'm like, I respect her. Like she clearly couldn't just write whatever she wanted and be like, I'm gonna like she's clearly not like a racist person. Like, I'm gonna write black people how I want to write black people, and then we're gonna have a huge cast of strong black women go act it out. No, like she knew what she was doing.
Look at the contrast of what like Tactix is saying about Quentin Tarantino on his film,
who I'm sure he wrote it, correct, and directed.
So, yeah. And then you have this one where I think her name was Dana Stevens, and the director Gina, I can never remember her last name, but the woman like in the middle right now, she is the director, and Maria Bello, the actress from like A History of Violence, is the producer. Dana Stevens, whatever, that woman who the white woman who wrote the movie, and you have a black director. So this is what people have a problem with. But T, you hit the head on the nail, man. No one cares about Django. Like,
Yeah,
it was
no, 8.4, bro, on IMDb. No one's saying shit about any of that. And then even on top of that, where it was like, I know people got mad at him for, I guess, misrepresenting the depiction of Bruce Lee in the latest film that he did or whatever. That's what they were nitpicking. It's like, like you could make all these fallacies about slavery, or like talk about slavery and all this shit and say the N-word and blah blah blah, but say something bad about Bruce Lee, and don't get me wrong, I love Bruce Lee, but it just doesn't make any sense. So to that point and to these comments, I don't give a fuck. I really don't. Like, this is the world we live in, where ignorance is bliss, and you're gonna have stupid comments like that, or people that just, like you were saying, like, oh, it's written by a white woman, I'm gonna boycott this because what does she know about black history and blah 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 and all that stuff. And I'm like, did you watch the fucking movie? And like, this is sometimes the problem that I don't even know if I want to say this on camera, but like, yeah, I'm gonna say it off air.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump in for like just 1 second and say that, like, for me, like, I can understand there were certain comments that were saying, hey, you shouldn't let this movie gaslight you, or you shouldn't let this movie make you believe that this is what the actual history is. Fine. You know what? I will accept that criticism. I'm not watching the movie thinking, hey, this is 100% what happened. Granted, you could say that we three are above averagely more in like educated when it comes to like film industry, but like nonetheless, let's say like we're not dumb. But nonetheless, people's understanding of the agoji, like, they were called Amazons, but the names are agoji, We are now learning about Dahomey significantly more than we did, what, 6 months ago? How many people knew about the Dahomey who are now arguing about the Dahomey as much as they are online and also in our comment section and also like everywhere else? How many of them knew about these people beforehand?
Right. And to your point, also, Umar, you bring up a really good point. I recently watched a couple of biopics. So Bohemian Rhapsody and A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. You know what I did? After I finished watching those films, I Googled it and I wanted to see how accurate these moments were, because some of the stuff that happened in that movie was in both of those movies were so like unbelievable. I was like, there's no way that's real. I gotta confirm it. I gotta fact check it. That's what a smart person would do with movies like this, because Hollywood likes to embellish a lot of shit. And so if you're gonna take everything that Hollywood presents in movie form at face value, you're a fucking moron. Plain and simple. Like just Google, fact check your shit.
Yes.
Like do your background check and find out the history about this stuff. If none of what was presented in this movie was accurate, but you still enjoyed the film, then it shouldn't take anything away from the movie at all. Like, I'm not sitting there and being like, oh, they this whole movie was a fallacy, so therefore because of its inaccuracy I don't like this film. No, if I was entertained, I don't give a fuck. I go and watch movies about fucking the superheroes and shit. Like, am I looking at and be like, oh man, that's not superhero. Superman's not real. No one can fly in real life. This is bullshit. I'm not gonna enjoy this. No, you go there and you watch the movie to escape and to enjoy what's being presented. Otherwise, like I think either you or Darcy said, if you want movies that are based on realism, go watch a fucking documentary on Netflix for $14.99 or however much Netflix costs nowadays. Like, like, you know what I mean? Otherwise, go just enjoy the movie for what it is, man. Like, no one's, and I don't remember in the beginning it saying this is based on true events. If it did, I didn't have my 3D glasses on, so I know I didn't see no shit like that. So
Nice one.
but yeah, so I mean, I didn't even know that this was based on like an actual tribe, and now I want to go and research it and be like, okay, I want to learn a little bit more about this tribe, because if these women were gangsters like that, like if that is what they're depicting, even if it's like embellished or whatever, I want to know what this actual tribe is like and what the real background story is about. So yeah, man.
And before we move on, because I have something to say to these like gods of Egypt loving individuals who are in our comment section. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, gods of Egypt is that film with all white people in Egypt, because that's a very accurate historical reenactment. Anyways, moving on. So going back to this Django conversation. So how do I say this? Certain people love to only see black people in a specific situation, right? So you look at Django and it's they never mind the slave movie, but they dislike it when it's a movie about uprising, like taking back power, or a movie that already depicts them fully at power. This is a movie where people are fully at power. There wasn't we have to rise up. This is just fully at power. But when it's the 12 Years a Slave, right? When it's Django, and the part where we rise up at the end, it's so fictional. Like, of course, no one's taking it, seriously. But they don't mind watching the parts where we're still the slave, and that's the huge difference. And they just want to see us in a particular light. And don't want to see it in another way, and then they get upset.
Yeah, because like you said, the triumphant moment in those movies happens at the tail end of the movie. The remaining 80 to 90% of those movies are based off of black people struggling and trying to get over this giant hurdle that's been imposed upon them throughout the entire movie, and it's only at the end where they finally get their comeuppance and everything is happy go lucky and shit like that. Like 12 years a slave. That's exactly what it was. It was like bro, Umar, we saw that in Cuba, and like that, like the tone of that room, the room that we were watching it, I think in your room.
Yep.
Everyone was somber as fuck after that movie.
We were going to a party.
Yeah, we were going to and like the thing
you
is,
guys fucked up.
I
told them not to, but they wouldn't listen to me.
Yeah, because you had already seen it, but I didn't watch it. And me and Reyes were like, yo, let's check it out. So everyone's coming into our room and we're all collectively just watching this film, and it's a long movie, and it's only until the very end that it ends on a somewhat happy note. But even then, by that point, like the damage has already been done. Like it's like you gave me 90% of grief, and then 10% was like, oh yeah, okay, here you go. It's okay now. And it's like, what the fuck? Whereas with this, it's like 100% just like straight killing it. Like Black people at their most powerful and most triumphant moment throughout the entire film. Yeah, there's hurdles here and there, but it's that's the 10%. Everything else is like royalty, regalness, and
on that exact point, Tactics. Let's use the same comparison. 12 Years a Slave. So like the article I sent to like Darcy and Tactics had a political writer, a political professor. I think his name is I'm gonna butcher this and I really apologize. Wanchikon. Wanchikon was talking about the fact that when you see these movies, for example, 12 Years a Slave is one of the examples. You see he like the happy ending wasn't accounted for him overcoming stuff. He had a white person help save him. He was being mistreated by white people, but also it was white people that was able to get him out. In other films like Django Unchained and like all these other situations, you have the white savior being shown in these films, being like, oh, this is the only way they could have gotten out of it, which is the same with like The Blind Side and stuff like that. This film literally, so he was arguing that a lot of people are saying that the Dahomey were very involved in the slave trade in real life, but he was saying like that history, as Darcy you were saying, was written by the oppressors. So therefore, if you look at it from his research, according to his recent data and also the data of other people who are researching it in Africa, nobody will deny that Dahomey were involved in the slave trade, but according to their data, they amounted to roughly 3.5% in comparison to the other areas like Ghana and so on and so forth. So yes, they were involved in the slave trade, but also he was saying this is a movie about a specific time in the Dahomey kingdom. Who is to say, because no one knows, who is to say the conversation that we had in the film about, hey, we should stop doing it and let's go into oils, who's to say that didn't happen? So I would say for Black individuals who feel this film is doing a misjudge towards the Black representation, I can respect your opinion because based off your ancestry, but at the same time, this doesn't mean that this film is, first of all, reinforcing or glorifying slavery in any respect, because I can't see anyone watching this movie or watching 12 Years a Slave and be like, you know what, slavery wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
So like this, I will say that this can be a negative reinforcement. Like this film was meant to be Black female representation and showing them as strong, just like you're saying, Tactics, and showing that, hey, like the one white dude in this film couldn't touch nobody, had no power other than like trying to like use economics to his advantage, and ultimately got fucked up when he tried to steal a whole bunch of slaves by the slaves, because his best friend, who was half white, was just like, yeah, I can't do this. I know we've lived our whole lives together, but like,
y'all are tripping. I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yo, he had like precursor get out moments the second he arrived. He was like, yo, I'm not. This is nope.
Yeah. So like I think you said it really well, Tactics. Like we are just not going to argue or have significant issues about showing Black people in a uprise state, but show them in power. Like I would say honestly, Black Panther and this are because Darcy, you have brought this up as a comparison, and some people would say, "Hey, man, that's an unfair comparison." But going to Tactix' point, this is like, and I could be wrong, but this for me, for my limited, and you guys know I'm definitely watching more black films coming up, but like this is the only time next to Black Panther where I've seen black people empowered with black women in power, and white people can't touch them.
The thing about that though is, I think, and I what I'm about to say, I don't want to discredit the power and the impact that Black Panther had, but I think what it had going for it, on top of it being black representation, is the fact that it was a Marvel movie. I would have loved.
Fiction.
It was fiction, right? And people were already on that Marvel shit anyway, so there was already a lot of anticipation. And it obviously, Black Panther had been previously introduced in the in Civil War. I would have loved for this to have had that same kind of strong merit as well, riding off of that, without it having to be another Marvel film. Because I think with that association of it being a superhero franchise or a superhero film, it kind of gets a pass, which is great, but it's also unfortunate that it has to have that extra push just to get any buzz or attention for it being a black film.
One could make the
sorry,
argument
I want to interrupt. I have a really strong thought that I need to get out, because some attacks are saying, when you're talking about, it being a Marvel film, it's like, and going back to when you're talking about Superman and like, you go and watch that shit.
Yeah.
The thing is like, when somebody who is threatened by black power, and I'm going to use the get out liberals, right? Not the like hardcore racists who just like, you see a black person and want to spit on the ground, but like somebody who doesn't know why they have an unconscious bias and feels threatened by black people in power. When you watch Black Panther, if they didn't feel threatened, maybe it's because they can put the power of the black people in the same category they put Superman in, which is it doesn't actually exist.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
In reality.
Never exist.
100%.
But when you see this, it's saying it exists.
Yeah.
It had existed.
And now it feels weirdly a threat to some people. So for those people, like, y'all need to check your biases. Y'all need to like figure out what's going on there. Yeah. And for other people in the comment section, I gotta throw one more thing out here. For my brothers and sisters out here who are putting some negativity, in the comment section, talking like, hey, well, you're supporting slavery and blah 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 blah, and you black and you haven't watched this film and you're saying these things, or you watch this film and still saying these things. To see this movie is about empowering and seeing your power as a black person, as a female black person, just to see that you have something to rise to. It's not like we're watching this film and then going, yeah, nothing bad has never happened in Africa. Like, there's so many historical things, but it doesn't mean that like you got to stop being in this mindset where it's like, you show one good thing, let's list all the other horrible things black people have done. Somewhere in your mindset, you have to start to ask yourself, is that an oppressive mindset that you will have when you see yourself depicted in front of you as powerful, but you cannot see it without finding the flaws in it and pulling it down?
Very well said.
I just had to get it off my chest.
Yeah.
No, I think that was very well said.
100%. Yeah.
All right, I think that's actually a really good place to stop, because like Darcy, man.
Mic drop, bro. Just turn your mic off.
Yeah.
For those who can't see it, I have my mic on a boom arm, and I just like made it drop.
All right, well, T, I'm going to pass it back to you for our closing statements, man.
All right. Well, thank you guys all for watching and tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of the Geeky Bros Podcast. As always, please be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe. You can find us on Spotify. All the episodes should be updated shortly. And we'll see you guys next week for another episode. Until then, I'm your boy Tactix.
Yo, just Darcy here.
And this is Big Geek Umar. Please live long and prosper, y'all.
And the show wouldn't end without,
Damn.